So welcome to Musings, Rants, and Guitars. And this week we have Wayne Nelson from the Little River Band. Welcome, Wayne.
Welcome, Wayne.
Yeah.
Great to have you on here.
Thank you, sir.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
The radio hits are endless. We love that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they do end, but that's when we say goodnight. So
So true.
Yeah. But,
Well, it's a real honor to have you spend some time with us, under these crazy conditions. The first thing I'd like to ask you is, what are you doing and how have you been holding up with all this virus stuff going on? Like, I know you globally would be touring somewhere, and, what's the mindset? How are you taking this?
the way most people are probably is channeling creativity into doing other stuff. I wonder sometimes how it got busier here not working. Do you know what I mean? I seem to be chasing my tail all week long and never really catching up with it. It's always moving into the next week. But we were off and running for 2020 at 70 miles an hour, and we went from 70 to 0 in one day. It was we worked on Saturday, and we found out on Monday, when everybody got home, the calls were just flooding in that people were canceling, postponing, moving, whatever. So after the shock of that kind of wore off, first of all, I tour manage the band too, so I get us from point A to point B. So a lot of this business of when can we move the show to, does that work, how to route it, et cetera, all that had to be basically like just throw the puzzle pieces on the table and start over. And little by little, the year cleared out, and it's all been rescheduled for 2021. But in the meantime, I had my 70th birthday. It's my 40th year in the band. A lot of milestones.
Congratulations and happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much.
40 years in the band.
40 years in the band this year too. So there are a lot of milestones that were going to be a lot of fun to acknowledge as we went. Well, that's all been pushed aside. But a good friend of mine who was actually first drummer that I ever worked with in high school, he said, "You're not getting any younger. You got to tell your story, and we got to find a way to tell the story." Yes. And he actually came and he sat with me for 3 days, and we had this whole room full of those, those big Post-it note posters, the poster-sized ones.
Yeah.
He just went from, birth, 1950, and he just went around the wall, and we got to 2020 right over here. And we just hit a bunch of talking points, and he went away, organized them, and said, I suggested, I will never sit down and type this. I would rather tell the story like I told it to you. And he said, all right, let's do it. And so we've been Zooming. We've got 10 episodes in the can, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And then we realized, there are pictures and music and whatever to go along with the story. So we went back to each episode and we made a coda, called it a coda for that episode, to where the photos are coming out. The whole wall over here that you can't see is just full of scrapbooks and Post-it notes about what to use for what era. And basically just stepping through the whole story of how the trip went from Rome, Illinois in a cornfield to Australia and then to 2020. So we're now 4 months into that project.
Wow.
And then lo and behold, Time Life hears about Black Tie, which we had produced and were ready to put it, at shows.
Right.
And just do a self-release like we always do. And Time Life said, it's a great opportunity for us to use our digital platform, and we'll do it worldwide. So tomorrow, the first single from that CD drops digitally, with Time Life spreading it to all the digital formats all over the planet.
Right.
And then in 2 weeks,
incredible.
2 weeks back, the CD will come out. So between all of the red tape for that and the memoirs, if you will, the digital memoirs. And again, we were talking earlier, my wife and I did a Zoom thing with Same Storm, Different Boat, where we were talking about we talked to Ricky Medlock and a investment banker and, other musicians and a flight attendant and so on. So all these different walks of life. How are you handling this? Because we're all in the same mess, but everybody says we're in the same boat. Well, we're really not. Everybody has to deal with it a different way. So it's been, 9 months has gone by like that. It's amazing how much you can find to do when you find a goal and take advantage of the technology. So I hope to get it done before we go on the road, because I don't know what I'm going to do with it then.
Right.
Be working all day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like rechanneling your energy into other projects.
And by the way, I completely forgot about the fact that my wife has finally cornered me into doing my own solo CD. So there's writing and editing and recording going along with that too. So every week something else takes precedence. Like I say, I'm chasing my tail. I've got a pile of lyrics that I got to finish, and but I'd rather be doing that than sitting around moaning,
Yeah.
Sure. I love the fact that you absolutely embraced the Zoom thing and reached out to people, and they're doing the same thing that we're doing. As I was saying, pre-show, it's cathartic, right? And it just makes us see what. And you've been going in a different direction. We've been just talking. I've been forcing us to talk to guitar players and stuff and other local people, but. You had the opportunity to talk to a flight attendant. That's huge. I mean, that part of their life is, like a musician, it was cut off pretty much that day,
Right.
No more flights. And investment bankers who were seeing, a huge change. The thing that I've found with some of my friends who are in that business who said they can never work from home. There's too many rules. There's too many regulations. There's too much security. They're all working from home.
Yep.
So
they found a way, and we
found a way.
That's got to be the silver lining to what's going on, is pull those cars off the road. I mean, it's good for the air. It's good for everybody's mental attitude not to be out there fighting off road rage and so on and so forth. And let people work from their homes if they can. That's they must feel more comfortable, and they certainly feel safer than having to go into cubicles and worry about who's breathing. Breathing their air.
True.
Yeah.
Look, we need companionship. We need to be near other people. I mean, there's no question about that. We're social beings, but for right now, we know that we have the ability to work anywhere. As had been preached to us for years, do your work anywhere. So now, if something happened where, okay, I can't be in my home, I just grab my stuff, I'll go log in someplace and hotel or whatever, and be able to do my job and communicate with people. So it's amazing what we've been able to do in the past year.
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
And like Lenny said too, this right here, a long conversation where you get to express yourself and what other people. Sometimes this is even better than a meet and greet. You're shaking a hand, you're taking a picture, and then it's gone. You don't know anything about that person other than, maybe their first name. So there's value to this if people will embrace it, like you said.
Oh, there's absolute value to this. I mean, we're talking to you on a peer level, also. So it's not just, I'm standing next to you, getting my picture taken, getting your autograph, and people see that. That you're just not that guy who's come in, he's just eating the catering truck, playing the gig and going back to the hotel and going to sleep. We're people, and we're trying to live our lives and show you that we're suffering along with you, but we're also, making the best of it and really, really looking forward to entertaining everybody.
Yeah.
And this has come a long ways for us, even. I mean, with Tommy, Lenny, and I, we're very close. We go out and we hang out into a club together. Lenny has a club.
Yeah, that was the best part.
So we would go there, and even if we don't have a show, we end up doing a Zoom like at least each week. Oh, see, Lenny didn't want to hang out; he was tired of me talking.
Yeah, already.
So
Lenny quit.
Right on cue, Lenny decided.
There you go.
Like you guys.
He's got
you guys.
He's got a bad connection, so he'll come back on in a minute.
He'll come back on in a second.
Yeah. So we'll just continue on. So let me make sure we get the dates for everything, because I know we're taping it right now. We'll probably think we're gonna air this Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're gonna air this. It will be November 1st. So the single will be out then, and then the CD will come out. I think the 13th. Is that the date?
Yes.
Okay. Right.
CD drop 2 weeks after the single.
Right.
We wanted to stay either side of the election because, of course, the election is going to.
Yes, it's good. Yeah,
it's gonna envelop everything. It really.
Was it something we said, Lenny? What I mean.
Yeah, he just got mad. He didn't want me to talk about his club anymore. So.
No, it's just, sometimes the Wi-Fi gods don't cooperate where I am. I apologize.
Yeah. We were just talking to Wayne about the exact dates of the drop, and we were saying we're probably going to air this Sunday, November 1st. So the single will be out. We're taping on the 29th. The single's coming out on the 30th, which will actually be 2 days before everybody sees this. So the single will be available. That's The Lost and the Lonely, right?
Correct.
Is the single?
Yep.
Yeah. I've gotten to listen to it. Wow, what a great song. Your harmonies in that band are just second to none, man. You guys really have those harmonies down.
Well, thank you. I mean, it is, and always has been one of the signatures. The hallmark of the band, and then especially on top of layered guitar parts and that there's depth in there that you can dig down into and listen to. But the harmonies are what deliver the words, and we strive. I mean, every change in the lineup has always, if you weren't a singer, you have to respect the fact that the vocals have to take priority, and there are times when you're just going to have to stay out of the way of the vocals.
Yeah.
From there, it's it's open season. Bring your creativity, but vocals get first priority.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
I went back and went through the catalog, but I've always listened to it on pretty much on the radio. Not ever a session of sitting,
Right.
studio setting. Now I've had the opportunity to listen to everything with decent set of headphones, traveling, commuting and stuff. Absolutely stunning. Like Joey said, the vocals are stunning. The depth, like you said, the depth is beautiful. People need to understand that music really needs to be listened to, and you forget that sometimes when you're running around all the time and just songs are on. I do it in the house. I'll just put on whatever shuffle. But if to stop and really listen, like I did to your stuff, just blew me away. So thank you.
Yeah, and I've been listening to the band, listening to Little River Band since their first inception when they first came out. I remember watching the first time I saw them was Don Kirshner's rock concert or something, or one of those late night shows, and they're playing along with it. And I know you came in just a few years after that. You're the
it was 1980, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1980. Interesting. In the flow of doing the book, if you will, the digital book, we just passed that era, the Jim Messina era, and that was where it wasn't the same show, but we went and did Kirshner as well with Messina's band. So I knew that drill, but that was one of the first times people saw Little River Band playing. And Kirshner you were playing live. There was no, miming or anything. You were,
That was live.
Yeah, it was live TV.
Wow.
Well, it was. It was recorded live. It was probably.
Right, but you were live in the studio.
But we were live. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing. So you didn't just pop into the Little River Band. You played with Messina before that. So
right. I met him in '78, and he. I mean, there's truly. It's a cliche, but right place, right time is really part of the music business. And once you're in that moment, you just got to be able to do the job that person needs you to do. Right. And so, but Jimmy was looking for a singing bass player, and I had worked with. My first job in LA was to work with a jazz singer named Eloise Laws. She was Hubert and Ronnie Laws' younger sister.
Okay.
And she was doing that smooth female jazz thing, similar to Natalie and whatever before Natalie broke out as a pop artist. But it was really just set the tone to go up and talk to Messina and meet up with him. He tried out 60 bass players from Los Angeles and surrounding areas.
Really?
How do you not? And for whatever reason, either he wasn't ready to go, or that they didn't sing, or they didn't hit it off. Jimmy was really about vibe and fit, personality wise.
That's important.
I was a fan of Loggins and Messina to start with, so I knew that music, and that was part of the audition. But when I went up to meet him, it wasn't with the band; it was just me and him. And we sat for a minute. He took on an acoustic. We sang together, and then we did an L&M song just so he could hear bass feel and so on and so forth. Right. He said, "Cool, let's go to lunch." And then we talked for an hour and a half. I said, "All right." He said, "I'll call you tomorrow." And I left Santa Barbara going, "Yeah, you'll call me tomorrow, sure." He called that night and he said, "That just felt really good. You're gonna be my bass player. And by the way, my band is a separate entity. Their bass player is going back to Berkeley, of all things. Like, I was going to replace somebody who had studied at Berkeley." Okay. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll give it a shot. But it was a good, solid R&B band, R&B flavored band. And it worked. So I instantly had 2 gigs. It was, we worked at night and we rehearsed with Jimmy during the day. But like I say, it was so much of it was based on feel and personalities, and it all worked. And so I was with the only touring we did of any substance was we opened for Little River Band for 2 weeks. Wow. And they were looking, again, right time, right place again. Yeah. Their bass player had become he went to Bible school. He gave it all up. He gave up away his royalties, everything, sold his gear, and went to Bible school in the mountains of Australia. And so they went on tour with a studio player that they knew he didn't sing, and they knew he wasn't going to be a permanent guy. So the Messina band is there front and center for them for 2 weeks, for them to go, well, he's singing and playing in these intricate Latin rhythms with one thing going on in the rhythm section and the vocals over it are syncopated, whatever. Yeah. Let's give that a shot. So one thing led to the other, and next thing I know, I'm going to Australia to rehearse.
Wow. Pretty cool. So this is
wow.
Yeah. So
you have to say yes. Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna tell. I'll give away a little secret here. I actually said no.
No.
I swear to God, we got done with the last show. We came off. We were busting our own gear because Jimmy didn't have a real large crew, whatever. So I went one way and got to the stairwell of this venue, and there's two of the singers from Little River Band. They said, "We love the band, and we're going to go out in April. You want to come rehearse and maybe record and maybe be in the band and maybe." Right. I was in love with what we were doing. We were doing original stuff that was, like I say, R&B based, and Jim's stuff was great and our stuff was great, and there were these 2 things that were just going to keep going back and forth. And I looked at him and I said, I'm flattered and thanks for the offer, but I am in love with where I'm at right now, and I just got to say no. I'm going to stay. I'm loyal to those guys and whatever.
Sure.
And they said, well, if something changes, call, and blah, blah, blah. So a couple months later, record label dropped Messina and it wasn't working, and they stopped promoting the album, whatever. And so suddenly we were all out of work. Basically, we were at odds, and so I called Australia and I said, "Is that offer still available?"
Yeah. And
the guy that answered the phone was their production manager during the tour. He said, "Wayne, I remember you. Yeah, the schedule's the same, April so and so. I'm going to pass this note on, and I'm sure they'll call when the time is ready, because they wanted you to be in the band." Click. Okay, I knew Messina wasn't going to call, but I knew Australia was not going to call.
Right. So yeah, you definitely weren't getting that gig.
They're not getting that gig, not from 8,000 miles away. And come March, I come home to a answering machine message spelling out the tour dates. Said, "You got to be here. We'll send you a flight, send you an airline ticket for mid-April, and here we go." Okay, I'm I gotta go. I gotta get a lottery ticket. This is all going too well.
That's
Really
great.
amazing.
Wow.
Especially after saying no. That's so cool.
No, I honestly did. I was so happy with the band and where everything was supposed to go, and then it just all fell apart. And I was like, back to delivering papers, and so I made the call.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we've been there. Me and Tommy are still delivering papers, so we
Yeah,
totally
we
get
still
it.
deliver papers.
Yeah.
nighttime or daytime?
Oh,
Oh.
nighttime. Yeah, nobody wants to paper during the day.
Yeah, you get off the gig, you go get the truck, and you get the papers, and then you throw
Yeah,
them.
I actually did that. I did that for many years in L.A. And actually,
Yeah.
I delivered to Frank Zappa. Believe
No
it.
kidding.
Yeah.
I delivered in Hidden Hills. Where
Oh,
does that
I did the
live?
Valley, over by Pasadena in the Valley, San Fernando.
Oh, okay. The other
Yeah.
side. I was in the West Valley, and Hidden
Okay.
Hills was just over the
Yeah.
hill. A lot of actors
It
and
might have
stuff.
been
Yeah.
the same. No, you were already. I was 87, I think. He was 87
Okay.
when I was delivering out there.
So Saturday night when you had to pull in and you had to load your car up with the Sunday Times.
Ah,
And your car leaves like this, and you're
Ah,
going
yeah.
through the Sunday Times with your left. I threw my arm out one night.
So Wayne, were you getting the times already put together? Or did you have to do both? Did you have to put them together and load them in?
On Sunday, you had to take the junk mail or the junk
Yeah.
Yeah.
junk
The
papers
filler.
and slide them in. And if
Yeah.
it was raining, then you had to fold them and fit them into that stupid.
2 bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Nothing like paying dues.
Yeah.
and
Boy.
delivering the
Yeah.
times.
So speaking of paying dues, schooling. Were you basically self-taught, or do you go to school? Did you have a private teacher? How did you learn
Yeah.
to play bass?
How'd you get to the Messina gig?
Yeah, like evidently you were pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Well, or pretty damn lucky. Again, 60,
Yeah, we go with that too.
60 bass players out of LA. You know, somebody in that bunch had to have fit the bill in some way or other, and spectacularly.
Actually,
And the guy that was going to get the gig decided to go back to Berkeley. This guy was a monster. I mean, I watched him play a couple nights, and I'm like, I'm in the deep end here, man. I can't
Right.
keep up with him. But
Yeah.
Jimmy didn't want somebody to keep up with that virtuoso stuff. He wanted, that's a great thing, but he was looking for a solid rhythm section thing.
Pocket
Anyway,
player.
no, bass playing, no. I had no, all self-taught. When I was very young, my dad was a drum major. My mom was into classics and Broadway, and we were in the church choir. So there was this full spectrum.
Yeah.
The only thing that wasn't allowed in the house was pop music. I went and bought a Four Seasons album, and I snuck it in and played it on the hi-fi, and they ripped it off the hi-fi and put it away. They said, no,
Yeah.
you cannot do this in this house.
Devil's music, that Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Those vocals, you can't sing like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, the church organ, and I stood next to my dad, so I was being infused with bass from the age of 4. 2 octaves up I'm singing, but I'm singing the bass parts to sing with the guys. And that's the only close to formal instruction was I was a boy soprano, and they wanted a soloist for the choir, so I would sing these Latin things, and they would teach me how to phrase them. And it just developed the ability to think outside your own zone, sing a foreign language, and you're the boy soprano standing in front of all these people, so it's just nerve-wracking, but you got to deliver. You know what I mean? You got to
Yes.
sing, and you got to be heard in this
You gotta
cathedral. And that training led to, they were also into local theater, summer theater. So that led to some parts in plays. That led to an opera. That led to a couple of contests at school. But I got to tell you, by the time I was so sick of all of that kind of music, that by the time I got to high school, there was no music program. And I was like, thank God I don't have to do any of that crap. But then there was no, I wasn't in a band. I wasn't around anybody. And I moved to another high school, and this friend of mine that I was telling you about they were going to start a band, and literally a garage band. Put the garage door up and during the summer, and I said, well, I can sing a little bit. I'd love to come and try to do it. And there was a saxophone player that was playing the bass, and he was playing the wrong notes. And I kind of said, I think this is the right notes, because, like I said, I've been infused with bass. And so drummer said, if we get rid of the lead singer and buy a PA and get rid of that guy, we can all make more money when we go out and work. So
Yeah.
age old story. You're playing bass and singing 2 weeks later, and you're standing in the middle. So that's the way it progressed. But other than that, no training, just absolute total love of everything low end.
Right. Awesome. That's good to hear, because, sometimes, too much training isn't, you get those guys that kind of lose the feel for it sometimes if they're overtrained, I guess.
Yeah, and the formality of reading, can take away the spontaneity. If you're stuck to a piece of paper, then what do you do when that piece of paper gets taken away? So
yeah, and I can tell you, playing the right notes is way overrated.
Yeah, there's so many other notes you can play.
Yeah.
Don't tell Jim Messina that. I'm sorry. Yeah, the right notes are way overrated, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
So many other choices.
Get out there. There's only 12 of them, I mean,
Yeah.
how can you go wrong?
Yeah. Eventually, I'll hit one of the right ones,
And
or the
do
chords
it
will
right.
get to the right one that I'm playing. So,
You guys ever hear of a piano player named, I think it was George Winston?
Yeah.
George Winston had
Yes.
the jazz theory things of, put a major 7 against a minor 9. It's okay because it's jazz. Everything works. Everything's okay. That basically was the core of the book. If you screw up, prove it.
do
Oh,
it
yeah.
the second time.
Yeah.
Certainly George understands harmony and stuff, and he plays some stuff that is so complex at times. Just even the high stuff. He's like, he's going, that really high, and doing harmony with, and just what and playing on top of that, he was amazing. Anyway,
I saw a thing. You guys can look this up on YouTube. Victor Wooten is just
out of this
a
world.
monstrous musician.
Yeah.
He did a clinic at NAMM out in LA, and he did something very similar to this. There was a novice guitar player playing with him. The guy was good, but nowhere near the same scale, but he was trying to make a point. He had the guitar player just start chinking on an E raised 9, that.
Yeah.
Victor played musically in every scale other than E against it. And then he would get done and he would go, now, was that wrong? And the whole crowd's like, that was amazing. Then he would go against the E, raised 9 kind of thing. He's playing G sharp diminished. Was that wrong? That was freaking amazing. He did he played his entire fretboard completely wrong. And then at the end, he gets back to, and everybody just went nuts. But it proves exactly, if you make it music, sometimes the right notes are overrated.
Yeah.
If you make it work, it can be pretty adventurous. It just takes your brain somewhere else. But I'm telling you, it's a clinic. It's about a 3-minute clinic of what can happen if you make it musical and you know where you're headed.
And you're ready for the adventure, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I've had a couple of my friends who are monster jazz players, and I go and I see them play, and they're disappointed. I'm going, well, dude, that was amazing. He goes, yeah, but I didn't take it as far as I felt I should have. I'm like, where were you gonna take it? So. Yeah,
when those guys think they've had a bad night, I would
for that. I'd be on my knees thanking at the end of the night, going, "That was so good."
Yeah.
So, I was bad. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So the rumor is it that you actually worked with Sir George Martin.
That rumor is true.
Ooh.
Yeah, man.
To continue on with that run, what I didn't know about the offer to join and whatever is there was a lot of politics going on in the band at that point. They had been successful for 4+ years.
Big.
Really successful, and in a striking way, obviously. But there were rumblings. There were now four songwriters that had written hit songs, and all 4 songwriters wanted the band to go in their direction.
Directions.
One of those, the musical differences dilemma. And I didn't know that the politics went as far as that a couple of the writers were dissatisfied with the lead singer and what his interpretations and he didn't like to rehearse. He was very spontaneous as opposed to very organized. It was a difference, just a clash of heads. Because Little River Band was an assembled band. I don't know if you guys know that, but it came from the 3 singers came from 3 separate successful bands. 2 of them knew each other and had worked together, but it was the idea of a management to get them together and say, let's sing, let's find out what we got, because we could put together this kind of the first super group for Australia, if you will, in 75. And it worked, and their goal was to conquer US radio, and they did it, and so on and so forth. But that takes us to when we were opening for them. Those 2 guys that met me in the stairwell saw an opportunity for possibly a different singer. I wasn't even singing lead, but there was a feeling that this was going to be a way to help the problem.
Right.
And so that happened. Night Owls was brought into rehearsals when the lead singer wasn't there. He lived in another town. We took all of this stuff with us, extra baggage, if you will, when we went to work with George, because when we're 1980 deciding now we've toured and it's working and we've rehearsed, 1980 we're looking at producers, and George Martin and Tom Dowd were the 2 main contenders, and they both came on separate nights, but they both came to shows. And everybody was Beatles fans, of course, and so we're Tom Dowd fans too, but the Beatles just the George Martin thing, and it was his studio where we could go away and take all the politics and hopefully leave them behind and go
studio in the islands.
Yeah, Montserrat. We were at Air Studios.
Oh my God, really? Dude, on top of that?
In Montserrat, yeah, it was just amazing. Truly amazing. We had a chef on.
At this point?
Huh?
Were you pinching yourself at this point? Because
dude, it was every day.
Yeah,
every day, because we chose the Beatles producer, and we got there, and we set up, and he brought Jeff Emmerich. He brought the engineer as well. We had the 2 guys that had kind of created the 4-track legendary Beatles tracks just by all that creativity and whatever.
Right. Just work.
But he laid down the law for us. He said when we got there, he said, one set of ground rules. When we sit down to dinner, you can ask any Beatles question you want. And when we're done with dinner, we go back to work and we don't talk about it for the rest of the day, because otherwise we'll be here talking. Every situation will decay into, well, what did George do here? You know what I mean? Or where was Yoko when this was happening?
Yeah.
And so we stuck to it. We were like little kids. We heard that they literally had an island chef with the big triangle that he would ring it for the dinner bell. And we would run in there like little kids ready to ask our question, of Sir George. But he was everything that he's been touted to be. Total English gentleman. He found his way through all that politics, and he made his calls as a producer, and we came out of it with a record that had 3 hit songs on it. So you can't ask for much more than that. We begged him to come in and play. We begged him to come in and play on any number of things while we were tracking, and he wouldn't do it. And he wouldn't do it. One day we saw him through the glass. We saw him stand up, boom, he walked straight in, sat down at that old Wurlitzer, and just chunked away on one of the songs of her. And I'm like, we're tracking with George Martin, unbelievable. Then it got to the point where we're singing, and he wanted to hear the lead singer sing the 2 songs that I sang on. That the songwriter had maneuvered his way into me singing a lead vocal. I had never sung a lead vocal in the studio in my life. Always just live high school stuff. So George Martin says, I'm choosing Wayne to sing these 2 songs. And I mean, you talk about pinching yourself.
Wow.
Right. Well, obviously, you know, Night Owls was, wow, that is one hell of a song.
Major hit.
Yeah.
You did a fantastic
Beautiful.
job on the vocals in that.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, you know, not seeing it just because you're here. We'll imagine you're not here. It's still amazing.
No, we had been having conversations about this when we went through the catalog, and
Go ahead.
like, wow.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want. I'm not here.
Just pretend.
I like that. That's the first time they did that. We had one of the guests.
Nobody
do
else
it.
left.
No one's done that to us yet. That was great.
That was good.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I'll tell you, there was one other thing that happened that was really cool. No matter what situation we're in, we all want to contribute, obviously. And I was the new guy. You know, I'm there with these 4 hit songwriters, you know, trying to carve out a record and whatever. But we were treating "Take It Easy on Me" basically like an album track. Before play it, you know, nice song, whatever. And I just felt there was I felt there was more power in the lyric and the song and the story. And it was about a musician with a split up because, you know, it's not working, and you got to say to the musician has to say to the woman, "Take it easy on me when you go," kind of thing. I just felt more about it. And we're cutting the track, and I stopped and I said, I made my spiel, and I said, what if it started out piano vocal, we trickle in for you know, for a chorus, and then verse, we hit it and go out like with dynamics. I mean, let the song rise and fall.
Right.
And we played it once, and all the vocals and stuff those were all speculative. You know, who knew what was going to be a hit? Who knew if it was ever going to be heard, and so on and so forth. But George Martin hits the talk back and said, "Great idea, Wayne. That's the way we're going to cut the song." That was pinch. That was pinch everywhere you could. And the next time we played the track, the very next time, the piano player nailed that intro, and that was what you hear. It had kind of just coasted along, and then George said, "Do it," and the next one is the track that you hear. And so that was the moment to me that, okay, I've earned my chair. You know what I mean? It's like this, that was the milestone for me. So every night that we have to do, you know, "Take It Easy on Me," it's like, got to live up to that shit. You know what I mean? It's like, don't mess it up.
So did you say, "Hey, George, so if you need any more tips on how to write a hit song, you know, just hit me up. I'll tell you."
George, here's my number.
Yeah. You know, just, you know, shoot me out an email, a text, you know, I got you, boo.
Yeah, I love it that you say email or text. It's 1981.
Yeah. No such thing then. Yeah.
But look, if Paul can't make it, you got the left-hand thing, you got the right-hand thing. I'm there. I'm there for you.
Yeah, I got you.
I know you work with that other guy who plays bass.
That dude. Yeah.
That's good.
So I couldn't, you know, he'd pick me to clean the pool there. You know, that guy. That's cool. Cool.
Wait over there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the one thing consistent about the band, with all the changes, is that you have a very distinctive sound, especially with the harmonies. And, you know, you could hear on the radio in the far distant, you know, oh, that's the Little River Band, just because of the smoothness and style that. And every song was different, variety-wise, but it had like a signature sound. And that's one thing I think is really hard to have, and you guys do it like it make it look so easy?
Well, it was there was a method to that I don't know that they defined it, but I certainly was studying it as it went on. Because so the three singers were there the whole time for the first 5 years, and then the decision was made that the singer didn't like what was going on, and they didn't like what he was doing, and blah, blah, blah. So we replaced him with a guy named John Farnham, who had an incredible voice. And when we went to work with John, you take the core thought process of a blend and a whatever. Now John had a range, a phenomenal range, and he wasn't comfortable until we bounced everything up, either a step or a third. So when when Glenn was in the band, and now when other mortals are singing lead, Cool Change is in A. When John was in the band for 4 years, Cool Change was in C. Okay, so I'm singing bottom harmony to Cool Change at the absolute flat out top of my range.
Wow.
Screaming in tune. And John's above that, and then Graham's above that. So we moved it up. But what I'm getting at is there was this thing in the room that I learned. And at the time, Beebe was still in the band too. So there were 4 singers that could find a blend on something. And we would work them until there was this moment where the vocals were, and I just gave it this name, I called it pinging. You could hear transients. You could hear notes in the room that weren't actually being sung, but the combination of it's like a piano chord. The high end will resonate,
right?
Whether
Absolutely.
Later.
Absolutely.
And it was that scientific thing with sound waves, but it was causing this ping. And then you knew that it was going to cut through any record, just like you said. It's going to cut and be heard at almost any volume if it's treated properly. So then as years go on, then Beebe leaves, and then it's just me, Graham, and John. And then John leaves, and Glenn comes back, but now Beebe's not there, so we've got to find the ping with Graham, Glenn, and myself again. And that constant looking for the pinging became it's become automatic to me when other people have come in and auditioned and whatever. If they got the job, we had to rearrange the vocals because we had to find out where that ping was going to happen. And maybe I went on the bottom, maybe I went middle, somebody else took the top, maybe a guy that had never been on top goes on top, that kind of thing. Come around now, we've got 5 singers, and the ping is solidly back with all of the tunes. But as you said, we've had to find it wherever we found the musician that was going to replace somebody. But like I say, the vocals being so important, I was always concentrating on where will we find the ping, and then from there again, you're free to be yourself and be creative. And if you want to change a part or something, the parts aren't sacred. The songs are going to start and finish. Some parts, you might find a part that works better than what was recorded in 1977 or 78. Let's be free to play, but the vocals have got to ping. And that right. it just became a thing, and again, we've found it now. We got that even the drummer is singing his ass off. So I'm like a kid in a candy store. I just got to walk up and be. You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's just automatic every night.
That's great.
That's
great.
You got those people that you.
That is so cool to hear. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's
just everything you just said was just so be free to what you do. Just find that spot.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
And once we find it, we stay there. I don't know whether they knew that's what I was doing or not, but that's again, and that I think subliminally goes all the way back to the chorus stuff. Yeah. When you're singing in a chorus, the old adage, if you can hear yourself, you're singing too loud. So you're constantly blending. You're constantly blending to make sure that you sound like a chorus instead of 40 single people.
Yeah.
Subliminally, that's been I got to say, church probably has served me well. Not
Yeah.
not that I'm going to heaven. I ain't betting on that. But as far as
Well, you're talking to us. You're out.
Yeah.
well, hell'll be fun, won't it?
We're gonna have a nice time. We'll have the same conversation.
Yep.
So that's Lenny. I love the fact that you brought up that point about the vocals.
Oh, well, I had to, because the harmonies and the vocals in this band is like, I'm going to go out there and go on a limb and say it is up there with the Mamas and the Papas, the Beach Boys, and even the Eagle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so distinct.
Well,
and
that's
you know what? I'm glad.
So precise and so, it's every song. It's just like a signature sound that is so hard
Definitely.
to do on every song that it's just incredible. Definitely incredible. So thank you for all the great music.
Well, it's always been a pleasure. By the way, when I first joined Little River Band, I was made part of the vocal group with those 4 guys, and that joy started then. I mean, they were singing monsters. I'll tell you. You mentioned the Eagles. That's great company that you said, by the way. I appreciate it. But I just want to mention the Eagles.
Before you answer that, did you open for Hart and the Eagles at Giant Stadium on June 15th of 1980?
Yes, we did.
That was my first introduction to the band. And I have to tell you, I'm not just saying this because, we're live here, but I thought, now that was a vocalist show. You had the Hart, the Wilson sisters, you had the Eagles with Joe Walsh, and then you guys came out, and I thought that the vocals filled up Giant Stadium, which is something like 80,000 people, just as good, if not at times better than the Eagles on that day.
Lenny,
I was blown away. So everybody that I was around were like, "Oh my God, that's amazing."
We must have made a good impression, because the order was completely backwards. We opened Hart and then Eagles. So if we left that impression with you, having come out first, that's a huge.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a
stadium. In the stadium. To get that.
I mean,
again, if it's pinging and you.
Well, I got to ask you on a side thing. What kind of production went into? What kind of production went into doing like stadium shows? Because the vocals just filled the entire stadium, not an arena, a stadium, and it was just like you felt like you guys were next to us singing. Was there some kind of preparation to get the vocals that strong through a PA or something, just to surround it the way it did?
The 2 things that I will, 3 elements, okay? A great crew and a great front of house guy that knows what to do with what you're delivering. That's always been, everybody says, how have you gone for 45 years now? This is the band's 45th year. How have you, whatever? And I say 2 things, the songs that relate and good live shows, because the live show to us has been super important. The studio, a lot of people can sound good coming out of the studio, but the truth of the matter is those guys delivered, and I had to deliver too. So and then once you deliver, and it gets to the front of house board, you've got to have a mixing engineer that knows what he's doing to get them in the right perspective there. But those shows had massive PA systems.
Oh my God.
And if you long before digital, you were listening to an analog PA system, which we won't get in the weeds of digital versus analog, but in those days, you were listening to a huge PA system. I mean, the Eagles were
1980.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would have been the key component to filling the arena, was that the PA was up to it. Because the PA can only do so much, and you got to have lots of it to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. A good guy running the board, and then regardless, if you don't walk to the mic and you don't deliver full on, it shows. And Little River Band always did that. And again, I joined that band when those 3 guys were still there, and the joy started immediately. To walk to a microphone and sing with them was that kind of thing. But it's funny that you had the order flipped, because no way would we have ever been closing for the Eagles. That wasn't going to happen. But I got to tell you a funny Eagles story, because we went on to work with them more later. And
did they treat you well?
In those days, they didn't treat us at all. The crew treated our crew always got along with other crews, and that's where support bands either blow it or make it. You've got to make friends with the people that are the crew. The closing band, the Eagles didn't speak to us. They were very remote. They were in separate buses at that point. You know, the old things the old stories were true. Henley had his own truck where he was taking his own bed around and putting it in and out of hotels and whatever. It was a very interesting situation to be around them. But one thing we did was, when we were done, we would zip around the hall and we would hang outside their dressing room to listen to their vocal warm up. Again, little kids listening to, you know, the Eagles and those great vocals.
Yeah.
And what we didn't find out until we were done, because the crew didn't want to tell us, was that before the show, the Eagles were hanging out by our dressing room listening to our vocal warm up. So, it was
Very cool.
A little tidbit that I'll cherish forever. But again, great company that you put us in, and I truly appreciate it.
It's just distinctive, and it's just like I gotta just say thank you for being able to pull that off, because it's just so spot on, and every song is different in nature that you guys do, but that element is there. It's like a signature sound with the vocals, and I just think, you know, it's like your voices are instruments, and it's just perfect each time. It's incredible, and not many bands can pull that off.
Well, and you know, and it's true, and there's another element to it too. It's the one thing that can't be synthesized. You can't synthesize a blend of human guys. You can make noises that sound like vocals and they're harmonized and whatever, but if you get the right people together and have that magic thing, you can't do it with a machine. It is so important in our shows that we start the night with we start the night with the highest note I sing all night. Hey everybody, and we just kind of pin people's ears back, and then on we go. And the power of those vocals is something that can't be reproduced. So I appreciate you.
Yeah,
you noticing it.
It's incredible. I mean, how could you not? That just, it's like.
Yeah, that's basically the anthem that starts the night. And there are a lot of people that don't quite get it because they didn't dig back into those songs. You know, that song was an 8-minute song back in '76 when it was played. But by the end of it, they're like, whoa, this is a cool way to start a show. I have the same Yellow Submarine on my wall. I have the Yellow Submarine on my wall too. I love it.
Is that me? Which one are we pointing to? My submarine lunchbox?
Oh, is it Yellow Submarine lunchbox?
Yeah, it's a lunchbox. I think, God help me, I think the Lego set came with it. I have the guys are in the bag here. I haven't figured out what to do with them yet.
Lego Beatles?
Yeah. And the Blue Meanies in here too. And but I haven't figured. I don't want to lose them.
They should be in the submarine, shouldn't they?
They should. I gotta glue them on something so I don't lose them. But anyway, I don't know. You know, all the stuff that you just want to put on your amps and stuff when you play, to turn around and go, it's warm and fuzzy.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
3 sets of ears. Talking Beatles.
Yes.
Giles Martin. Okay, Giles Martin was there. He was 9 or 10 when we were on the island.
Okay.
His remakes, his redos and remixes and so on and so forth of those tapes. And yes, you hear a lot more stuff that's going on. How do you rate it against the original? I'm just curious. Have you studied any of that?
I've listened back to a few things, right? So initially, I've listened to the records on headphones. I've listened to also the mono versions of the early stuff too, which is fascinating, you know, because as a kid, you know, the first thing you have is a radio, right? And everything's mono then.
Right.
So I listened back to it in the 3 or 4 stages, to the later remixes, and even the stuff that he did for Cirque du Soleil with the remixes that Giles did, and which I thought were stunning sound wise, because I mean it's the tracks with some electronic and some mixing and stuff, but you can still hear the purity of the tracks. And one of the things that I've always, I know an argument I have with people is tape noise. You know, if you listen to some of the records, to me, I always thought tape noise was a part of it too. You know, you could hear, okay, we're rolling, and then you'd hear that sound. You know, that sound's gone at this point. You know, in music. But you know, listening back to, fortunately, but when you listen to, you know, some of the great quiet jazz records, you know, even you looked in, you know, Kind of Blue and you know stuff like that, you can hear. You know, when the drums come in, you hear that hiss along with the sizzle cymbal. So, you know, I really enjoyed the remixes of the stuff, and the fact that it opened it up a little bit more, even to me, I thought, as far as the separation of sound, even though it was great to begin with, listening to everything in headphones. So, and the same thing, you know, going back and listening to, you know, the Little River Band in those recordings, just the space and stuff. I thought that the early Beatle records could have been, you know, just I think the versions I had could have probably been like the 5th generation of the pressing, you know, where things weren't, you know, that's they weren't perfect pressings, right? They weren't, you know, first there, you know, Louise had done 30,000 records that day, and I got the 30,000th first one. She looked at it and looked fine, and meanwhile it had this, you know, big, you know, you know, the grooves were just a little bit, you know, less deep. So, but yeah, listening back and everything digitally now is just fantastic. And I think Giles did a great job. And again, I like the Cirque du Soleil remixes too, because I think they're fun.
Did you happen to see Cirque live by any chance out there?
I did not get to go out there for that.
It is amazing because the chairs have got 5.1.
No,
really?
The chairs are 5.1 because you're hearing 3 of them from the PA, and then you're just settling into what they sound like, and then all of a sudden there's Billy Preston, you know, on the Wurlitzer, right in your just totally isolated in your right ear, and then a great Harrison lick will just pop up over here, and what it is spectacular musically, and then of course watching Cirque do their thing was amazing. So I saw Love twice.
Really, I mean,
Very
just
cool.
you know, I don't know. We're such huge fans of that music, because we're, you know, because it's great, first off. But I mean, I don't think that it's going to go away ever. I think that they really set the standard for pretty much any song to be ever written since. You can you know, you can take heavy metal, you can take hard rock, you can take punk, you can take pop, you can take country, you can take all of that, and all intersects back at the Beatles.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. You know, and those harmonies. Oh. You know, I sit back. I just get sick when I hear some of those harmonies between John and Paul, and you know, you got the other two in there too. But
yeah, like if they were a horn section, they're like breathing. They're breathing together. You know,
they were breathing together.
So and you can still hear both of them, but it's put together as one voice.
Yeah.
Right.
It's amazing.
So I mean, some of the dinners with you know, Sir George, and what, again, you guys could have just, I couldn't even imagine sitting there and be like, you know, okay, what am I asking him now? How many takes did you do that vocal on? How did you get this mix with that? Just, you know, because
there's this big thick book of all the studio notes for some of the
albums. I have it. It's great.
Is it the one album or is it a bunch of albums? I think
I think it's a bunch of the albums, right?
Yeah.
It's a thick book.
I seem to remember at one point he said, "Please don't ask me about anything from that book because you can go look it up and I don't remember any of it." You know, it was all It was much more.
I've read through that book twice, and some of the stuff in there is just absolutely amazing, because you know, there's nothing like that can ever be redone. You know, like music from those days. You know, recording's not the same. You know, you don't have tape. You don't have to try to get all that, you know, everybody playing at the same time anymore because everybody can do their own thing. I mean, me and Tommy did a recording, and we haven't been in a room together in what, a year, Tommy? Right?
Yeah.
We did a recording together, you know? So
Different world.
yeah, you know, I mean, the kids nowadays, they don't know about flipping the tape over to, you know, or editing to actually cut a tape, you know.
Cut a tape. Cut
Yeah.
a tape.
Yeah, like cut a tape and, you know, then, you know, yeah, we'll use that same blade for cocaine later or something else.
Exactly.
You know?
What's the white stuff on the tape?
Yeah. What is going on here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely, you know, it's just not the same, you know.
Nah,
Ironic, the tape's sped up right there. What's the problem?
You know?
right. They can cut and paste. They don't understand where the term cut and paste came from.
Yeah. Exactly. Cut
Because
that
we were-
paste.
I need that chorus because that's a good chorus. I need that in this tape. And
Yeah, absolutely.
you sit there and you amazing. That's something that's lost and
Yeah.
lonely. But
Absolutely. Yeah. So let me ask you a little bit about you know, we're big gear guys, you know.
Yeah.
We always ask guys about gear. So you've been playing bass forever. What's your current setup? What type of bass are you playing now?
Playing Fender, Victor Bailey, active 5-string Fender. So it's a jazz bass,
Okay.
but with active pickups and a little bit wider neck to accommodate the 5-string.
Right.
And I got to that. This is kind of a funny story. I haven't purchased a bass since I met my wife, and then not for the reason you would think. When we met, I was playing Yamaha. Yamaha had endorsed the band a long time ago, and I came out of that with a couple of 5-strings from Yamaha in the late '80s and early '90s. Met her in 2000, and Fender had represented us with guitars for years, and they kept sending basses, and I would go up high and I would find the dead note on the fretboard and I would send it back. And then they send another one. No, this one's great. And
we checked this. Yeah.
yeah. Well, okay, you did, but go play D on the G string and you're going to hear a dead note. You're going to hear a dead spot. It stops, doesn't resonate. Blah, blah, blah. This went on for 3, 4, 5 guitars. Somehow, my wife, we were pretty newly married, talks to our guitar tech and said, "Well, how could we get him a new bass? Something new for his 50th birthday, I think." And he said, "Fender's been trying for years, and they've got a new model out by a bass player named Victor Bailey, and they're screaming about it. They said it's great." She had it delivered to the house. I opened it up, and I sat and played it for 2 hours without plugging it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know that.
You know if the wood's going to ring.
Yeah.
Right.
I was mesmerized by how great it felt and whatever. That's been the mainstay now for 20 years.
Wow.
As that went on, I got the itch for Ernie Ball.
Okay.
Because I kept hearing, I'd hear a Brothers Johnson track, or I'd hear some other.
Oh yeah, you want a stingray, you know?
Just want to snap, but just a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
different kind of snap from the. So 60th birthday, I walk into the room and there's all these people just waiting, and there's a guitarist. She finds a white 4-string Stingray from Ernie Ball, and I'm like, unbelievable! You found another fantastic bass.
Wow.
But then about 2-3 years into that, switching back and forth between the 5-string and the 4-string started to be this, oh crap, what guitar do I have on and what key are we in? Kind of mental exercise when you don't want that to be happening in a show. And it was like, damn it, wrong guitar.
Yeah.
Damn it, where's the other string?
Yeah.
So I checked and I mentioned it to the guitar tech. Guitar tech went straight to my wife, and boom, here comes a fire engine red 5-string Ernie
Stingray.
Ball. Stingray.
Yeah.
So those are the two now that are on stage, the Fender and I love the 5-string, the low, a good resonant low D or that B. We do a lot of stuff in F sharp and B, oddly enough, and that the open string comes in really handy. But those are the two, and they're active and they've got all of this juice in them. I play them flat. They just sound so good just on their own. And I don't have an amp. I haven't had an amp on stage now for probably 99.
Wow.
I go direct through, literally just through a tuner. I've tried a bunch of different pedals, and they're just in the way for me because I'm a dork with guitar sounds. And I just unplugged one day and said, "Can I just go direct and whatever?" And so now front of house has got full control over that. There's no bass. As a matter of fact, we don't have any amps on stage anymore. The only live instrument on stage is vocals and drums. So our stage sound is so clean now. There's no junk coming from monitors and folding back into the mics and stuff.
Completely using in-ears at this point, right?
Exactly, all in ear.
And I noticed
really helped with the orchestra, because once we started putting the orchestra there, anything was going to throw them off. Any kind of guitar resonance and whatever, it became a problem. And little by little, the guys found their helixes and their tones and whatever, and they've become very happy with not having to worry about where's the mic, where's the speaker, where's the amp, where's it, what room's it in, that kind of thing. So
right. And I noticed when I was watching your video, there are a couple of mics on stands. I guess they're pointing towards a crowd, so you get that crowd ambiance also, correct?
Exactly.
Otherwise, I've noticed I've done the in-ears thing too, and I've noticed you have to do that, or else you feel like you're in a
well, you feel like you're in the studio, which is the totally wrong place for the narrator to be. You got to be in the crowd as much as you can. Yeah. I get a lot of house. Other guys in the band would say you get too much house. Our keyboard player gets none.
Okay.
He stays in that environment so that he's the guy singing falsetto that was never a falsetto singer, so he wants to hone in on pitch and whatever. He has no house at all. It is it's a balance to find, and every night the first 30 seconds is, even if you sound check and the place is empty, you could go out with the wrong amount of house coming back to you, too much, too little. So I'll tweak it up or down. Right, and he's gotten pretty good at, this is the zone that I'm used to hearing, and it's that trust with the guy over there running the in-ears, that he knows what we want, and he keeps it all under control. So
awesome.
Yeah, but you're right. The audience mics are essential. First time I put the in-ears in is like, oh God, I can't live in here, doing a live show. So we're hearing the PA back a little bit too. So there's it feels to me like the old days. It feels like you're hearing the audience, you're hearing
without the feedback.
Right.
Not without the feedback and without having to stick your butt in a bass speaker. To feel it.
Yeah.
So, and you've been singing. You're not a kid anymore. You're over 25. And
he's back. When he's back.
Yeah. When he's back. So it seems, watching the video, listening back, you haven't lost your voice at all. Like, some guys lose their range, and it doesn't seem like you've lost anything.
Knock on wood, not yet. It just
good
a little
living, or
there's a little more leather in there. Yeah, no, seriously, good living. The days of thinking that you could sing a show, party, get 3 hours of sleep, and then come back and do it again are long gone.
Right.
I'm literally a monk on the road. I've got the bunk. They offload the bus. Sometimes they'll just let me be until 11:30, 12 o'clock. And then I get to the room and I go through it's not a full-on warm-up. It's just a routine of quick sleep, 15, 20 minutes, shower, start to do exercises and warm up, and then know that you're just at that point when you hit the stage that I got to dodge some things once in a while, 4 shows in a row. I'm not going to go for the hero note in the 5th song. I'll duck underneath the rest of the guy.
Yeah.
But that's but yes. So, and we all feel that way because none of us are spring chickens, but I'm 70 years old, and so it's going to be really interesting. I've got Black Tie without lead vocals on the computer so that I can sing the set, which is really funny. I go in that little closet there and sing the set.
Yeah.
And all of the crowd noise is there. So, you know, I'm feeling like I did a pretty good job there, even if I suck on Wednesday night, you know. It's pretty funny. But got to do it, because if, you know, you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And so I can't let that happen. Right. Can't let that happen. Not to COVID and all of this crap.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't deserve it.
Definitely.
Yeah. COVID doesn't deserve it. I'll blow it out. I'll give it a good run, and if it goes away, it goes away. But I'm not going to let it get stolen from us. That's not good.
I agree.
So you've been touring for over 40 years. You know, obviously you were the Messina, and then you were the
I love the little sound too. When he disappears, bling.
Yeah, I know. There he goes. Bling. He's just gone again.
The Lenny angel just took him away.
He comes back. He comes back a little ding too.
Yeah. So you've been touring for forever. So not every show has gone flawlessly, I'm assuming. So do you have one of those Spinal Tap moments you could share with us, where something went awry?
Yes. We have we had a classic one, and I'll tell you that it
Spinal Taps?
It was a reverse. It was a reverse Spinal Tap. We're up in Minnesota. We're playing a festival called it's their summer thing.
It's still
huge
hype.
Festival up northern Mankato, Mankato, Minnesota. It is. It'll come to me. Anyway. 10,000 people, and there's motorhomes and so on and so forth. Typical kind of a festival thing where it's a 3-day deal, and it's cooking. It's late evening, and they'd had some brownouts up there because it was really warm. And sure enough, we're in the middle of Help Is On Its Way. Hank, boom, dead, nothing, lights, everything. But it was still light enough during the day. The crowd picked it up in tune. Sang the whole chorus, sang their way through it was after the bridge, so they didn't do that, but they sang the whole chorus. They went back to a verse, they finished the song. We got to the end of the song, and I'm standing up there holding cue cards at this point, because the band has left the stage. I said to the monitor guy, find me some freaking cardboard or paper, whatever. I'm going to start doing cue cards. They finished the song. It was unbelievable. And then I just went, you know what it is. It's a power outage. I don't know what's going to happen. So we left. 15 minutes later, and they're all gone. So by the time everybody had left, they all went back figuring, night's over, we'll go party. We were, the power came on, and we had time to stick with the schedule but play one more song. So we played Cool Change. The people came back in droves, and you know, people are crying because it's happening, and it was that song, the sun's going down, right. It was just one of those great moments where a technical thing ended up working huge in our favor. But I'll tell you the worst one. There was my mic went dead, channel went dead, something went dead, and so we finished one thing. They got another mic out there, another cable, whatever went up. And I went up to sing, and the arc on the bad ground was so long. I saw it coming, and it hit me square in the face, and literally was like, holy crap, what was that? And knocked me. I felt like I'd just been punched in the nose. Yeah. And everybody else saw it, and the lights flickered. I took a dose of 110 that hurt, man.
Wow.
The whole band was like, is he going to live? I wonder if I'm in his will. Can I have a bass?
I don't remember the arc, but I took a couple of hits to the lips a couple of times, and you know, I didn't learn because I did it again. You know, I did it twice, the same mic.
Yep.
That is that's not fun, and that's how people, you know, seriously get killed. But anyway, your story about them singing along with that gave me chills. By the way,
we were all freaking because it was, and they sang it so well and so in tune, and then they actually made the shift back to, oh, I know what it was on the way out, because the verse is in B and the chorus is in C, so they made the transition back.
you modulated up to C.
They even modulated. It was just, it was incredible. They were so tuned in. It was
That's
That's you have good fans when they know the modulation and everything. So
there you go. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic to hear.
Most white people can't clap.
Yeah.
These people had it on. They had it going on. It was
great.
really cool.
Wow. All right. So how about we always talk about like maybe a piece of gear that has gotten away. We're guitar players and we're cheap and we're stupid and we always sell and trade stuff, and I always go into this. I sold one of my very early Marshalls that was worth a ton of money for a bass drum pedal for my drummer at one point. Do you have something that you wish you had back now? Maybe you sold or you traded or got stolen or lost or something?
Without a doubt. And I know, so it was my 68 P bass. And it's you go to all the bass forums and all the people, and they got all the high powered gear and so on and so forth. But everybody says you have to have in your possession a vintage P bass, because it's just got that tone that is present and felt, but it's not taking over anything. It's just a special thing. It's just a wonderful piece of gear. But the new pickups and the new whatevers and the new woods and the new whatever, no, go back and find a mid 60s to late 60s P bass and don't let it go. I got rid of mine because I had the brainstorm that I was going to start playing Gibson basses.
That's a brainstorm.
Yeah, I did that one too.
Yeah, that's more like a brain fart, I think.
Yeah.
So my first one was the Grabber. Do you remember the Grabber bass?
Oh, I sure do.
Oh yeah.
With the sliding pickup. Yep, the old sliding pickup. Yep. Oh, it'll be a P bass or it'll be it's a
it'll be a piece of shit.
It's junk, yeah.
And that one stuck with me for a couple years, and I finally, with Messina, I finally got back to, he had a warehouse full of vintage jazz basses that he wouldn't let go, but he was very instrumental in helping me find the jazz basses. As a matter of fact, a friend that I met in San Francisco at a music store actually tracked me down and met me at the airport with the first jazz bass that I got back. And so back to that, but in all these forums and stuff, I'm just kicking myself because I let that P bass go for an absolute song so that I could go buy the Grabber bass.
Yeah.
And I think the next one was the Ripper. Was that the Ripper? The longer
Ripper
one?
Yeah, the Ripper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rest in peace is the RIP was perfect for that one. That one had to go away too. So
absolutely. Yeah. I never met a Gibson bass that I liked.
Huh?
I never met a Gibson bass that I liked. I was a bass player for many, many years before I switched to guitar, so I just did it out of habit. But yeah, I actually had gotten one of the. I was a metal guy for a long time. I'd actually gotten one of the old. They made a Flying V bass.
Yes.
For Gibson. There's only 350 of them made, and I had one of them, and I sold it to a good friend because they wanted it, and I never got along with it at all. Yeah. And then, years later, I'm like, wow, it's only 300. I wish I didn't sell it to him. He sold it back to me. I had it for 2 weeks. I'm like, why did I buy this thing back?
I was right the first time.
Yeah. What was I thinking?
I ended up trading it for a PRS. So.
Did you ever have one of those clear Dan Armstrong basses? Those had sliding pickups, interchangeable pickups.
Interchangeable.
You want your humbucker bass pickup?
And
you just
probably like made of concrete too, because it was so heavy, right?
They were awful. Yeah, they were just
really heavy.
I don't mean to hang. There were a lot of experimental things that just didn't go right. But I got rid of the P bass, and I'll never forgive myself.
Yep.
I could have another one now for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
Yeah, just like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I sold a 72J to get that Gibson. I wish I didn't.
Did you ever play a 65 jazz?
No, I did not.
Stack pots. It had concentric. It had a mid-range pot, but it had concentric pots. It was a bass pot and then a
you know what?
treble on top.
Jim Sabella has one over at Sabella Studios, and I played it. He has a 65, and it is. Don't even plug it in. It's just space. I sat there. Yeah, they were doing tracks for stuff, and I'm just sitting there just playing along. What do you? Oh,
nice. No,
concentric pots.
What year is
It's a
that?
telly, but it's got the concentrics.
Yeah. Is that 60s?
No. This is actually one of those. It's a Nashville power telly.
Right.
So the lower one is the piezo pickup.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
But that's what you were talking about, is the concentric, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but the 65, that Jets, man, oh man, I'm sure he knows. Don't ever let it go.
Oh, he wouldn't. And I know people ask him, and he won't. But like you said, when you if you sit down with an instrument, an electric instrument, and you just play it and it's not plugged in, you know that it's the right instrument.
Absolutely. If it sings to you without being plugged in, you're golden. Yeah.
Yeah.
My 52 telly does that. It's just
ridiculous. It's just sit there and just
it's loud. Tommy thought it was plugged in one day. It's like,
I did when you.
It's not.
Wow.
It's coming over the mic that loud. So
that's awesome. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's amazing. All right, so we're getting towards the end. So how about
Wait, I just want to ask again. I apologize.
No worries.
Wind and the rain picked up really bad, so I want to talk, Wayne, a little bit about the new release that comes out on October 30th. If you didn't cover it already, while I was trying to come back on, the song "The Lost and the Lonely."
Perfect timing. Yeah, we haven't spoken about it yet. No,
Yeah.
Okay, I know it's a very interesting story lyrically about it. I was wondering if you could share with us what that song is about and what was the inspiration in writing it. I know it's on the greatest hits, like a remastered greatest hits compilation, Black Tie, which drops on November 13th. It's with the
Craig Turley.
That's it.
Out of Florida. Yeah. He's a flugelhorn player that puts together different size orchestras for different things, and he's been doing it for 20 years, traveling with Johnny Mathis of all people. When Johnny Mathis would say, "I'm in Boston, Craig, I need an orchestra in Boston," he calls the players. So it became a perfect thing for us to pair up with him, because we could tell him, "We're in Kansas City at one of our favorite venues. Can you put together the players?" So we recorded it over the course of 2019 in about 6 or 7 different venues, but with the same orchestra leader and some of the same players guesting. But about Lost and Lonely, the song came to us from a Nashville songwriter, 3 songwriters, when we were looking for material for a record for Frontiers Records. They approached us. They wanted new material. They definitely want no remakes. They don't want to hear another version of Reminiscing or Lady. We want new material from Little River Band. And I said, great, but we're going to choose it together, because I don't want you to just shelve this record. I want you to be invested in the music that you would have us do. And then we'll do it the way we do it. But you've got to love the song too. And this was with the president of the company. And the day Lost and Lonely came to us, a tribute to the Nashville songwriting empire, just the concept, the feel for what they do. The song came in with a negative viewpoint. Lost and Lonely were going to be the people coming back, and that we needed to help them. And I heard this majestic chorus and this great song, and I felt inspired by the music, and I didn't think the lyrics, I didn't think they fit. I went back to him and I said, I love this song and all the things are there, but I think it needs to be turned around. The people that they go help are the lost and the lonely. We got to honor these people, because these are kids. These are people doing 4 and 5 tours, and they've got their lives on the line all the time. I'm not talking about being pro-war or pro-military or anything. It's just that These kids come into their home and they tell their parents and their sisters and their uncles and their aunts and their grandparents, I'm going to go to war to defend freedom for the world, not just fly our flag, but go do something to help the people that can't help themselves. And I said, can you tell that story? They took their words and they came back to me in an hour and they had the lyric. It was amazing. I wish I had written the song, but my love for what I thought it could be was what they came back and they said, thank you so much. This song is now an anthem. It's a positive anthem. And then we got the Wild Hair to add orchestra to our shows. And our keyboard player did all the orchestrations. That's the other thing about this CD that's amazing. The band played them and we played with the orchestras, and it was a powerful thing for the audience to feel that live. But the fact that Chris had written it all, and now Chris is a vocalist, he's a keyboard player, and now he's jumping around conducting as well.
Yeah. And
there was a whole process that we nailed down where the orchestra gets 2 hours, we join them, we have dinner, and then we go do the show together. And it's again, working with the same orchestra and over again, a lot of the players knew it already, so they knew the process. But the end result for Lost and Lonely, and this was the only time that this has ever happened. Night Owls was a new song once. We Too is a new song once. Take It Easy on Me. All the songs have been new songs and put in front of people before. The first night we did Lost and Lonely, people heard it, they felt it, they knew what was being said, and we got a standing ovation for a brand new song in the middle of that set full of hits. And we're literally speechless. I didn't know what to say. It was very emotional, first of all, but I didn't know, I could not react to it. It was so weird that a new song, and there was about 30 seconds of standing ovation applause, and it took us all by surprise. It was dumbfounding, but we've captured it now on the live CD, and people can hear it for what it is. And it is unfortunately, I've said this before, I wish the relevance of the song would go away. And it doesn't. It just keeps being timely because people keep being stupid and doing stupid things, and we keep having to, send people to fight about it. And it's an awful thing. But this is not about that. This is about the people that choose to put that uniform on, and what kind of a choice that is to put their lives on the line. We all have been affected by it, and we're way past the age where we're going to have to make that choice, but that's what the song was for, is to honor them.
Stunning. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a beautiful song. I mean, the horns there, the song itself is amazing. The lyrics were, really well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the song that drops on October 30th through Time Life?
Exactly. Time Life is doing a worldwide distribution of the single, then 2 weeks later making the album available digitally. This is our first plunge into the full-on streaming and downloadability. We've put other products up there, of course, and they're available, but it's always been a combination of those. There's a hard copy and it'll be shipped, and you got to blah blah blah, all of the red tape with that. This is files being put up around the world, and I don't know how many platforms there are that we don't know about. We know the Spotifys and the Pandoras and the Apple Music and blah, blah, blah. But what do they stream in Greece? Where do they stream from in Holland or New Zealand? Are there local, smaller outlets?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's definitely local, even local radio that's, internet radio for all these places, too, where they do that. And you can actually stream from them. And
they just keep popping up.
Yeah, and everything's available online in Russia. So
for 1 cent.
Yeah, for 1 cent.
1 cent download.
Yeah, the 1 cent downloads.
Yeah, and don't you wish you were getting a cent every time Spotify played you either, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we're not getting much money out of Spotify.
Yeah. That's some fascinating
Yeah. Wow, we should have started that racket.
and they're still getting away with it. I mean,
Yeah.
even though The Rock was turned over
Yeah.
by people like Bette Midler getting $270 for, for 3 million airplays and just absurd stuff like that. It's still going on. Nothing changed.
Yeah,
No.
the Spotify's, board of directors are sitting there going, well, we're getting paid like we were in the 50s.
They know our number. They know our phone number. Yeah.
Every single time. They definitely know how to make it work for them.
And the only thing they like now is there's no payola now. They don't have to pay the DJ anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no DJ. You get to hear an ad with Spotify because nobody's paying for that damn service.
Yeah, not only are they doing that, but they're raking in advertising money
Oh, my
because they're
God.
using the music
Yeah.
as bait.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
People are gonna, then they're gonna go straight to Amazon. Oh man, oh man.
Yeah.
It's no wonder.
And
Jeff
watch this
Bezos-
video, and you'll for 30 seconds you'll get 10 minutes of playtime.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
No wonder no wonder they've got yachts, and we're talking from our basement on Zoom.
Yeah, here we are.
No kidding. No kidding. They seem to be getting worse. It was funny. I went to watch. I pay for Prime and Amazon Prime and the whole thing, and I went and spent the extra money for unlimited downloads and everything else. And now I'm going to watch something on Prime last night, and there's commercials. I'm like, how am I getting a commercial on Prime? I pay for it. And it's just a thing now. They don't seem to care whether you pay for it or not. They're still going to charge you, but they make you watch a commercial.
Apparently, you didn't pay enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing it come out every month. Like, wait a minute,
You didn't go for the extra special super deal.
yeah. I guess I'm not a platinum member now.
Yes.
You got to do the
Triple
Jeff Bezos,
platinum diamond.
the Jeff Bezos special. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So, all right.
We're excited. Can't wait to hear, can't wait for the release. Can't wait to hear everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see you, because we had some dates coming up. But the final piece of our show is, the thank you piece. Then we can continue talking after. But, who, you've worked with some great people, as we've talked about. But who is the one person who just blows you away? It's just like, wow, thank you for doing the things you do, or you know what, you drive me crazy.
Wow, that's a broad.
Yeah.
That's a broad. There are so many people that blow me away. I would have to say, he's not with us anymore. Is that possible? Can this be?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Kind of an obvious, but I would have to say thank you, Jaco Pastorius, for opening up what was always a respected thing, bass, but for taking it to such a higher level and such a massively just prolific era. And I say this. The folder that I use for touring is see-through plastic, and it's got Jaco's picture on the back side of it. So I see him every day. To know how tortured he was, personally, I mean, that guy ended up dragging his acoustic 360 into Central Park and playing for chump change.
Pigeons.
Because he was so tortured, and it did come down to pigeons at a moment, because he was so overbearing about himself that people just, I can't take it anymore. You amazing, but so all of that torture, and this guy recreated my part of the band. He just took it into a completely different zone.
So
and stayed at it and dragged he dragged his amp down the street to play. I mean, just an amazing. But had he lived, who knows what would have happened? That brief little window, I would say, there's nobody that blows me away more, and it probably fits both bills, because he was intolerable to be around at the end.
Yeah.
But just genius on earth. I mean. That's and so relatable for me, because I'm like, I didn't know this would do this. I didn't know that you could do what he's doing, and with fretless. Oh man, I'm just opened up the doors for me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, just so, besides being a complete virtuoso, it was music. He was playing things where musical. I mean, he was, for lack of a better term, he was shredding on the bass. But I mean, but musically, it was captivating. His stuff. I mean, the Joni Mitchell stuff. I mean, anything he was playing, you could tell A, it was him, and B, it was so beautiful.
And it was riveting.
Yeah, it was riveting.
Weather report, and you got to give one ear to the bass.
Yeah,
you got to give one ear to Wayne Shorter, and then you got to somehow find how to hang on to the keyboards as well in the song. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I will tell you one other thing too. This is another name that I saw him live, and I've been able to see Tony Bennett live, which was inspirational in his scope and whatever. But I saw this singer on Valentine's night in Vegas named Brian McKnight.
Oh, yeah.
And I have never heard a more perfect, I have never heard a more mind-blowing vocal performance than what that guy could do he could do with his voice anything he wanted, almost like Jocko could do what he wanted on the bass.
Wow.
But complete opposite of kind of person. So nice, so gracious, so warm for the whole crowd. I mean, he had 50 women on stage at one point, gave them all roses and sang to them and whatever, and just blew them all away. But I was not impressed by the roses or anything. I was just blown away by how he controlled his voice and what he did all night long. And it was like, Bobby McFerrin, he was doing that kind of stuff, only he was delivering it within pop songs and R&B songs, and it was astounding. It was astounding.
Wow.
I know if I sat here for another hour, more names would pop up.
Don't worry.
It's hard because we do this every week, and there were the first probably 10, 12 weeks we did this. We would go around and or if somebody was stuck, we would start with we'll tell you who we have, and then you could find somebody new almost every week, because especially at my talent level, I look up to everybody. So
we're down here looking up.
You're absolutely right. And then the internet has hooked us up with all these 5-year-old kids that are just slamming it.
Unbelievable.
Bass players and singing and drumming, and male, female, all across the board, all around the world.
Oh, yeah.
God bless the internet for that. That I got to say.
Yeah. Thanks, internet. Great. I know how poorly talented I am.
Yeah, where I went so terribly wrong at 7.
The underachievers club here is being turned on to how 5-year-olds are blowing us out of the room.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And it's so true. They are really so talented now.
Yeah.
So. But
guys, this has been fun.
Wayne, I do have to say one thing. You are the first guest to say flugelhorn on the show.
Yeah.
So
I spoke.
You
first
get
guy
that prize.
Speak German on the show.
No, say flugelhorn.
Yeah.
So
that's
everybody needs a. Do I get any kind of a plaque or a?
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to send them one of our mugs.
You get
a mug. I gotta have a mug.
See, we actually do have merch too. So
fantastic. I'll take a MRG mug. Coffee.
We'll do that. We'll send
you a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Your band and your music has been a huge pleasure.
Timeless.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
You guys have been fantastic, and you have a lot of talent. Don't let anybody. You'll blow those 70-year-olds away. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'm told. Doctor just told me I had the body of a 69-year-old. So I'm.
That's great. That's great.
I'm set.
My doctor told me the same thing.
I was going to say the same thing.
Maybe it was my doctor. It's his only line.
That's his only joke. only he meant it with me.
Yeah. Hey, listen. February 26th.
Yes.
Yes. We will absolutely. If you're there, we're there.
Well, look. Say your name at the front door, and you're in. Okay.
Okay. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bring mugs. Bring mugs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll bring them right to you. You'll be getting a mug in the mail ahead of time.
Before we go, just for the audience listening, where can they find out more information about you and the band? Like on social media, globally, anywhere? Or?
All the regular places. LittleRiverBand.com. We do have a Twitter account. It is Little River Band. I think it's hashtag Little River Band. I'm a social media. I'm a social mediate. I don't. I leave that to younger folks. I do put pictures on Facebook for the crowds after the show, but that's it. And there is a what's the other one? There's a Twitter account. There's a Instagram.
Okay.
Facebook, and the website. So those are we got the four corners covered. And again, coming to a place near you, our calendar is at the website.
Yes,
that's the fastest way. But we're on Bands in Town because of Facebook and a couple other places. So that it's your basics for geriatric musicians.
Absolutely. So we have the Twitter thing and the Instagram thing and Facebook, and we do the YouTube thing. So we will, when we post this, we will be posting links to all those at the same time.
Right. We'll hashtag
we
all
always
those.
do.
So.
Yep.
I forgot about it. We have a YouTube channel as well, so we'll cross pollinate.
Look that up, and
it was running in the background a little bit. You didn't see it, but I had it running in the background.
Not. I bet I'm the first guy to say cross pollinate on your show too.
Yes.
I said it, but I meant something completely different.
Ricky definitely did not say cross pollinate. I know that.
Totally different conversation, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was talking about cross pollination, but it was completely different. Something about cross-pollinate, crossing swords. I don't know. I don't know.
No cross streams.
Yeah.
No cross. No. Only in the snow. Go ahead.
So, Wayne, thank you very much.
I think Lenny's got.
Lenny, just one more time.
Lenny missed a lot. We got to give him one more thing.
Yeah.
One more.
The single, "The Lost and the Lonely," drops October 30th on the Time Life Network platform.
Correct.
Yep.
And the album "Black Tie" drops on November 13th.
Yes. Actually, what's happening is Time Life has agreements with all the other platforms, and that's their thing. So if you go to Time Life, their sites, you'll see the band names and so on and so forth that they represent, but that doesn't lead you anywhere.
Right.
I would say the best thing to do is go to the digital platform of your choice, and the single should be there tomorrow, and the full CD should be there on November 13th.
Right. So look on
Fantastic.
iTunes, Amazon, any of those streaming services, Google, they'll all have it.
Can I say one other thing? If this is going to show on November 1, vote.
Yes.
Vote.
Please, people.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Get out and vote. It is
Make a difference.
Very
our
important.
most precious gift in this country.
Yep.
Guys, thank you. It's been great talking to you.
Good
Wayne, thank you very much.
Pleasure, you were a gentleman.
Very cool.
Yeah. Stay right there, and we'll sign off.